Good morning, for the record, Brendan Volsky, on behalf of Courtney. Yes, and Christine.
Ma'am, your name? So let me start by saying here that, and she's off the Adderall now, right?
Correct.
It looks like you're doing good on bond. The prosecutor's office has consistently said 60 to 90 days. I've argued with them over the language. They've left it to my discretion. But there's no way I can justify not sending you to jail today. I'm going to listen to what your lawyer says. I'm going to do the best I can for you, but this is a third. And even though you're getting in sobriety court, that will help you tremendously. But there's no way I can rationalize not doing that in my brain. So with that, and we have elected to admit her. So with that, Mr. Dabolsky, have you had a chance to review the report with her? And are there any material additions, corrections, or deletions?
No, we reviewed it and there are no additions, corrections or deletions.
All right. What would you like to give me your excellent words of wisdom, as you always do, so I can do the best I can for her here?
Well, thank you, Your Honor. With that being said, before I dive into all her redeeming qualities, I just want to remind the court, yes, this was reduced from the prosecutor's office. And with that being said, Your Honor, I know that you said it's hard for you to deviate your mind from the jail time, but I do.
I didn't say it's hard for me to deviate from the 60 minimum days. I'm not saying that. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to just remind the court that according to the plea agreement,
I know, I've completely.
Your Honor could waive all.
Exactly.
It's
I know.
all within your
No, I know that. I know.
So,
For the longest time, they sent me minimum 60 to 90 with work release if eligible.
right.
And then it was if they do anything wrong at all or they don't make it through, I have to give them a year. And I fought with them because they're not the judge on the probation violation sentence. I am. And I don't mean to sound uppity about it. I just mean prosecutor's office should not be telling judges what to do in the event of a probation violation. I fought that war for years and I finally got it where it's reasonable. But she's got 3 offenses. She had a 2-3. She's the ripe old age of 34 years old. And that's where we are. So go ahead. I'm going to listen intently. I promise you.
Standing before the court, my client is 34 years old. Okay, she does reside in Farmington Hills. She's here today with not only her mother that's seated directly behind me. I believe it's in the second row. But behind her, there's 2 individuals. Number one is her sponsor. So she's taken it upon herself to obtain a sponsor. And not only that, there's an individual seated next to the sponsor that is in charge. He's very involved in AA. I think this court, city's dealt with this court in the past. He's familiar with this court.
Mr. Wells, who got through the sobriety court. I'm really proud of him. So proud of him. We put him as a supervisor on our court work program.
Oh, and that's a testament to how well he has embraced sobriety.
He gave me some gray hairs and some fits, but yes, he did. Yes, he did.
Well, he's taken it upon himself to stick his neck out on the line for my client. My client, from the very beginning, obviously there's bond conditions. My client has complied with those bond conditions. Your Honor made reference to that. She's an individual, first and foremost, Your Honor. The reason why she's getting into sobriety court is because she has a problem with alcohol. Okay. Yes, there were 2 priors. She was charged with a felony on this 3rd offense. It was reduced. She was given a break. It was reduced to a 2nd offense with sobriety court. She got it. Let me remind you, and I'm not saying that in a disrespectful way, but Your Honor, I had brought it to my client's attention that when she was working out here at the time at Leo's Coney Island. I guess on the report it indicates that she is employed there. She kind of is, but she's not working right now. She's on leave from there, so technically she could go back, but she's taking a leave of absence to focus on her sobriety, which she truly needs to. So with that being said, she's taken it upon herself to not only attend AA 3 times per week, which brought proof for it. No,
I believe you.
You trust me.
You don't have to show me. I believe you.
You have proof of all that. She's involved with an individual therapist once a month. She, she obtained the sponsor. Okay. She's doing IOP right now, which she's in compliance there. She has really kind of, for lack of better terms, grabbed the bull by the horns here. And she has embraced the fact that she is the type of person that can't drink, not just for this period of time while she's in sobriety court, while the case is pending, but for the rest of her life. She has gotten sober in the past, Your Honor. However, she was, like many individuals that are in that situation, they think that, if you just slowly go back and you don't drink as much, you don't really have an issue with alcohol. She'll be the first one to tell you she's an alcoholic and that she can't ever drink again the rest of her life. Matter of fact, we've spoken at like many times throughout the duration of this case, and she has indicated that, it's not her friends that she's blaming for getting into trouble, but the people that she was running with just weren't people that were helping her in life. Matter of fact, now that she's sober, she's come to grips with the fact that sadly, these people probably weren't true friends, because now that she's not frequenting bars, hanging out and drinking at parties, they're not involved in her life. And she realizes that those aren't the type of people that she wants to surround herself with anyway, because she has lofty goals to turn her life around. She has been spared a felony conviction on her record, but most importantly, she's going to remain sober. She knows not only for just sparing trouble in the future, but for this case, she could go to jail for up to a year, but just to get her life back on track. I'm not using this as an excuse, Your Honor, of why she relapsed. I kind of want the court to understand what was going on at the time. And it's like I said, it's not an excuse. She'll be the first one to admit that she chose to drive the car on the night in question. Thankfully, there was no accident. Nobody was injured or even worse, killed. The police officer actually pulled her over prior to, her driving. She ran out of gas right on the road. But nevertheless, with that being said, she has taken a positive approach to this. She even indicated to me that this is kind of crazy to hear this, but it's the best thing that could have happened to her. And the reason why is because it caused her to realize that she's not one of those people that can just drink, once in a while. She can't drink at all for the rest of her life. And Your Honor, just like that speech you gave that young man, two people before me, before my client, she's in the same boat. If she goes back to drinking, she's going to be like that gentleman if he doesn't clean up. She's going to end up in prison. And that's what happens when you can't identify, problems in your life. And she has to understand what her triggers are, and obviously remain vigilant against those, and stay sober. And I think this program is truly created for individuals like my client who have a problem, who want the help, who are going to actually gain something from getting that help. And I have no doubt in my mind, I'm standing up next to this young lady right now, and I've known her for a long period of time, but I have no doubt in my mind that she's going to do everything Your Honor orders her to do. She has, I know that she was ordered by the probation department to refrain from taking the Adderall. She has stopped taking that Adderall, as Your Honor had indicated.
But she got clearance from her physician, right?
She did.
Because we just won't accept anybody, but probation, we stand very short of telling somebody you got to get off of medication. We only say, if the doctor thinks you need it, fine, but we can't accept you. So I just want to clarify that into the program. You follow me?
100%.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I mean, she doesn't think it works as effectively as her new medicine, as effectively as the old, but at the end of the day, this is what she wants. She really wants this program. She wants you to allow her into it. However, one thing I will say, unbeknownst to Your Honor, and I want to bring this up, but I think that, considering that, she's an individual that has a problem with alcohol, yeah, if she was on bond, if she went back to drinking, Your Honor would throw her in jail, and it wouldn't really solve the problem. She could do, roughly, do her probation, 30 days in jail downtown if it didn't get reduced, and be done and back doing what she wanted to do. She didn't want to go that route. She was fortunate to get this. And during the inception of this case, she's dealt with a lot. I have a letter from her doctor right here. Unfortunately, she has some pretty serious health concerns. They just detected.
Hand that up.
Yeah. It doesn't state everything, Your Honor, but I will say, Yes. Your Honor, at her last doctor appointment, they detected some,
Some like high-risk cells that,
I see. You don't have to talk about
correct,
it.
but long story short, surgery is required. So,
I'd like to have a copy of this for the probation file.
something that's pretty serious.
So I want to make sure that you take this back, but I'm going to have a copy of this in the probation file. Go ahead.
Needless to say, I'll summarize it. It's a very serious medical condition that requires surgery. Obviously, thankfully, Your Honor, it's pottery. But I know that, Your Honor sees this as someone that has to be punished because of, the number of offenses. I'm asking this court to deviate, give my client a chance. She understands, Your Honor, that if for some reason you were able to see it that way, any violation, I'm so confident she's not gonna violate. I'd say any violation, give her what you would typically give someone in this situation. But I think
Well,
because she's gone to great lengths to prove, not only, no offense, not only to this court, but to prove to herself and her family that she can do this.
she got through the 35th District Court Sobriety Court program in 15, right?
Correct.
Did you graduate? That scares me, though. In a
Wow.
lot of ways, it scares me that was a second offense. You did that, you came out, and we're gonna take a chance on you again. I don't usually put people in a sobriety court
Well,
on when they've already done it, at least in ours, but I happen to think that we do pretty good with this. And I'm only saying, go ahead, go ahead.
well, Your Honor, I don't want to cut you off. One thing I sometimes get sidetracked, but what I was saying is, I don't want to use it as an excuse, but what her mindset at the time was, is that her best friend in this world was her grandfather. And right before this incident happened, she had watched her grandfather's health rapidly decline. As a result of that, in order for her to cope with seeing her grandfather's health decline, she would use alcohol, she used it excessively. And thankfully, nobody was ever injured when, she was driving that day. But right after this incident happened, as a matter of fact, her grandfather passed while she was in jail. Took a huge toll on her. Clearly, she's emotional now. You can see how much that, just passing of that individual has affected my client. Thankfully, she didn't resort to using drugs or alcohol to cope with the loss. She did use alcohol to cope with continuing to decline in health. But, she's firmly committed to doing everything Your Honor orders her to do. I would ask, Your Honor, not to give her any jail time, allow her to do the probation, allow her to do work program. In lieu of that, she has another issue with some spots on her face that the dermatologist has to send out because they're concerned about issues there. She's going through it right now. And I would just ask you to allow my client to prove to this court that she's taking this matter seriously and that, any violation, Your Honor, give her what you were initially thinking of giving her today. But to take a flyer on her and allow her to prove that she is an ideal candidate for not only this program, but to prove to you that she's going to do everything this court orders. She's not doing it just to, pacify you. She's doing it because she wants to help and she's a new person. I would ask you to, take all those statements into consideration and obviously avoid the jail time. But my client does want to address the court herself as well before Your Honor.
Sure, go ahead. Take your time, relax. Do you want a Kleenex or something?
Can I grab one?
Sure. You got them around here somewhere. Right there. Right here.
Thank you.
I just want to take a moment to, tell you thank you for giving me the chance to do this. And like he was saying that, I did resort back to old ways because I was his medical advocate. It was hard to watch him pass. It was hard to watch him get sick. And, I'm sorry to cry. But
You're fine.
I was scared before it happened. I was scared of how I would drink after it happened. And like this is a blessing. I feel like, you know, it happened to me that way. I couldn't be sober when it did happen. And, you know, I was sober. I've been sober since incident. I was released on the 13th. My grandpa passed on 14th. I was able to be there with him. I was able to hold my promises. You know, I do take full accountability. I understand what I was doing was wrong, and you know, I didn't know that there were consequences. And I just really feel like things have been, you know, I've been blessed to have this opportunity and you know, be there to honor his wishes and his last moments, and you know, and then the the therapy, the AA, a lot of it's doing well, you know. I've met great people. You know, I've been attending the meetings, I met Brett there, and then, you know, I had the impression that, you know, just the way he carried himself and that I seen him here, and I was like, wow, like it just really inspired me. And, you know, I met my sponsor at another meeting, and, you know, I attend as much as I can, and it's just been beneficial. And you know, on a lot of that, I was lacking with my own health concerns. So these last few months, I've been able to, you know, take a lot of things on that I wasn't really, you know, concerned about while I was, you know, medically advocating for my grandfather. And you know, I do appreciate, you know, everything you guys are doing here, and allowing me into, you know, the program, and different opportunities to move forward. And I do see that, like, you know, remaining sober is beneficial in my best interest, because, like, you know, when I didn't drink with my recent diagnosis, and I didn't drink alcohol, and, you know, when my grandpa did pass, and I really have seen, like, you know, no way of life, and that it does just cause me more problems than it does help. And
You were in custody for one night at the time of this arrest. Is that true or false?
Correct, Joe.
Just give me a second, okay? Some lawyers think this job is easy, Mr.
This wasn't just another courtroom hearing. This was a moment where everything was on the line. A young woman stood before the judge, facing her third alcohol-related offense. Not a first mistake, not even a second. A pattern that could no longer be ignored. And the judge made it clear right from the start. There's no way I can justify not sending you to jail today. The courtroom fell silent because everyone knew this was serious. But then something different happened. Her lawyer stepped forward, not to deny what happened, but to show who she is now. Sobriety meetings, therapy sessions, a sponsor by her side, real effort, real change. And for the first time, this wasn't about excuses. It was about accountability. Then came the emotional turning point. She spoke through tears, holding a tissue in her hand. She admitted everything. The pain, the loss, watching her grandfather fade away, and how she tried to escape it through alcohol. But this time, she chose something different. Sobriety, I take full responsibility. I know I was wrong. Those words changed the entire room. Even the judge paused, because this wasn't just a case anymore. It was a life trying to turn around. But still, the law doesn't disappear. The judge laid out strict conditions: probation, no alcohol, frequent testing, mandatory meetings. And then came the warning: if you're 100% compliant, you may avoid jail. But even one mistake, and you're going away. No second chances. No excuses. This was more than a sentence. It was a final opportunity. A chance to prove that change is real. A chance to break the cycle. Because in this courtroom, you don't just get judged for your past. You're tested on your future. And now, everything depends on what she does next.
That's not what I'm talking about. You can't go to parties. You can't go to drug parties. You can't go to bars. I'm not going to consider it a violation if you walk into a 7-Eleven because they sell beer either. But if their primary source of business is selling alcohol, you're not to go there. You're to submit to chemical testing, PBTs and ETGs when probation tells you to. They're going to have you test for the longest time 3 times a week, and then ultimately it will reduce to 2 times a week. They're recommending 60 days on the sober link going forward. I'm going to require 90 days. You're to attend 12-step meetings 3 times a week and provide written proof of attendance. You're to obtain an AANA sponsor. I know you said you have one, but you're to notify probation of that. You're to attend all substance abuse treatment in an approved facility and provide written proof of attendance. You're to attend the victim's impact panel. You're to attend and complete the armed specialty program. You have to report to sobriety court review hearings with me every 2 weeks. Obviously, in the off weeks, you'll be with the probation department reporting to them. They'll let you do a lot of that by Zoom. You're to obtain and maintain employment with proof provided to the probation department. You are to pay fines of $200, costs of $300, $75 victims' rights fee, $50 justice assessment. So your fines and costs are $625. There's a screening fee of $60 for $685. You have probation fees of $480, bringing your total to $1,165. You have sobriety court fees of $360, bringing your total here to $1,525. I'm going to order 72 days jail, and I am going to tell you how I'm going to break that down. You have, like I said, $1,520 in fines and costs, 72 days jail, credit 1. You're going to serve 6 on the court work program. There's a $35 a day charge for that. Your court work program fees will therefore be $210, so your total should be, and if you don't mind checking this, Heather or Amy, whoever's in there, the total should be $1,735. I'll let you set up terms of payment with probation. So I'm ordering 72 days jail, credit 1. I'm going to let you serve 6 on the court work program, like I said. I'm going to let you serve 5 by way of community. And I appreciate the fact that you're coming all the way from Farmington Hills, but that's just, I'm going to require that. 5 days of community service by May the 1. You're to serve 60 days jail beginning. You're going to give me a review hearing date, Amy and Heather, please, for about 2.5 months from now. You're coming back on that date. You're starting your 60 days. You will come in here for that review hearing. If you're compliant 100%, not 99, I'll probably not require you to serve any of that jail time. If there's any violation, you're going away. Do we understand one another? Can you guys give me a review hearing date? I don't care what day. Just the
You say
middle.
about 2.5 months, like the middle of April?
Yep.
We can do April 15th. I think that might be one of your sobriety court days, so.
We'll do it on April 15th then at 8:30 in the morning. I would be highly, highly, highly unlikely to give you jail if you're compliant, but it has to be 100%. If it's not, you're going to jail. Do we fully and completely understand one another? You have 21 days to appeal, 14 days to apply for a court-appointed lawyer for purposes of appeal. You could get a year if you violate. If you don't get through the program, you're likely going to do a year. I'm going to do this for you. There's something in my gut that tells me that you're going to be compliant. But I'm telling you, I don't want to come across as threat. You have no idea what kind of a break you're getting here today. And if you don't comply, you're not going to like me. You get through this program, you'll actually like me by the end. Not if you don't comply. I'm going to let probation set up terms of payment. I don't have to take any revocation act or immobilization action. The last was in 15. That's the other thing I'm looking at. First was 9, then 15, then 25. You know, and some will think it's too easy. Some will think I'm too. That's the price we. Good luck. I hope I don't have to send you to jail. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Can I have Dylan Lane Haynes? 26260-647-075. Good luck, ma'am. You're going to meet with probation. They might